So it's Friday, and this is today's photo. So straight away, I can see Steve Coogan. It's a photo of Steve Coogan reading the Mirror newspaper. As I look at his face, he looks overly serious. I think as a comedian, and I know him as a comedian, that's a too serious a face. So what's the word I'm looking for? So he looks a little bit too proud, a bit too serious. So he could be acting a comedy role, as Ruslan just suggested, or he could be a very serious role. So I can't tell which. So what kind of a face do you think he has there, Ruslan? Is it a serious face or a comedy face? Are we going to laugh in the next scene or something? So this is a photo from a new story that Steve Coogan is in. So over to you, Ruslan. What do you think? Any
Yeah,
ideas?
I think on this picture he looks um,
Yeah.
keen on something important, and
Mm.
it is not look so serious. I
Oh
guess
yeah.
it is like something in the middle, and but
Mm.
he is very focus on on some important things. I will
Mm.
say like this.
Yeah. Yeah, he's reading the newspaper, so some important story in the newspaper. Yeah,
Yeah,
and he's reading another newspaper. Maybe it's the same story, and it's in two different papers. Yeah,
yeah, it's
interesting.
actually possible, but
Hmm.
his friend and
Well,
his
they're in an office, so there's wood paneling there, and there's sort of photos on the walls here. This looks like the map of South Africa. So to me, it's a serious place. So it must. I'd say it's work. I can't see it being friends. So they're colleagues at work or workmates in some sense. I think. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupt you a little bit. So carry on. So colleagues.
yeah, actually it is through his
Mm.
co-worker. Yeah, we will
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
like
That's it.
this. Yeah, his face looks a bit angry, I would
Yeah.
say.
Mm.
And yeah, and this is should be something important because they um, they are reading it at the same time. It's
Mm.
probably something important for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's something in there. Now I look at it. When I look at his face there, it looks almost pompous. Pompous, I think. So the word pompous really means a little bit too serious for the
Mm.
situation. You go pompous. But then again, we don't know what the situation is. So let's go straight over to the story. So this is in the Metro newspaper. It came out yesterday, so today's the 8th. So let's have a look then. And the writer here is Milo Pope. Milo Pope put the story together. He's the journalist. So let's play the trailer. So this is a story on Netflix. So we'll go over to full screen and we'll play the trailer. Let's see what happens. Well, I hit play, nothing happened. Play.
Your legend is the identities we use when we work undercover. Your legend has to be part of you. One wrong word, one wrong decision.
So if I just stop it there a second. Now he said legend. Does that make any sense to you? What does it mean when you say legend?
It's actually a legend. It is
Yeah.
about someone experience that this person have done
Hmm.
something before, and he was famous in some situation, I guess. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess like this.
Yeah. That's definitely one good meaning you've given there for the word legend. But I think this is a sort of a true story set in sort of perhaps nowadays times. And when we talk about the past, we sometimes talk about legend. And so you're absolutely right what you were saying, but I think they're using the word legend in a different way. So if you're a spy in modern times, they started to use the phrase legend, and when they use that, they mean what's your cover story? What's your pretend background? Pretend background. So my real background is I was born in London 60 years ago or something. But if I had a legend, it might be, oh, I come from South Africa and I'm selling diamonds to make £1 million or something. And that's just a sort of a made up story. So that it's sort of, but it's believable maybe because I'm playing that role of a South African or something. But in truth, I'm really from London, born in the 60s or whatever it was. So it's a fake story about you. That's the way they're using it, I think. So does that make sense?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a fake
absolutely.
story about yourself normally. So I might have a legend, but I'd only have a legend if I was an undercover operator. So when I say undercover policeman, does that make any sense? Undercover police?
Undercover.
Yeah.
It is
Hmm.
like a person who
Yeah.
protect ordinary police.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's in there. Definitely, that's part of it. Normally, an undercover policeman is he looks like an everyday person, and he's perhaps might be doing something that looks criminal that he shouldn't be doing, but he's only doing it to fit in with other criminals who are around him. So
Mhm.
he might look as if he's selling drugs or something, or making drugs, this policeman, but in reality, he's only doing it so that he can fit in with the other drug sellers because he is an undercover policeman. Now, I don't know exactly how they work. I'm sure as undercover policemen, they have certain rules. They can do this, but they can't do that. I'm not in that role. I don't know in reality what they do, what they can do, what they can't do. So it's a policeman who is pretending to be a criminal so that he can trick other criminals so he can catch them, or other police can catch them maybe. So and that's where the legend comes in. So the undercover policeman who's pretending to be a criminal, he has to have this imaginary story that he's really a bad man. He's been in prison 10 times and he sells drugs all the time, but he's never done that really. He's really a policeman.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and that's what I'm judging the meaning here is what we've got here sort of thing. So let's go back to the beginning again,
Yeah,
if I
okay.
can. Well, I put 0 in. I thought it'd take me back to the beginning, but it didn't. So let me go straight. Let me hit me the cursor. So this is the start again. So I'll play again.
Your legend is
Legend.
the identities we use when we work undercover.
That's right, undercover.
Your legend has to be part of you. One wrong word, one wrong decision, and you're a goner.
If you're a
The
goner,
heroin crisis.
let me go back. So it says about legend being undercover. So he did say that. I thought maybe I imagined it, but he also said if you forget it. I think he said if you forget your legend, then you're a goner. So what
Gonna.
does goner mean? Any idea? So that's
This means
yeah.
gonna is you gone you has gone. It is you
Mm.
kill. No,
Yes, yeah,
you
yeah,
lost. Yes.
yeah.
Um,
That's it. Yeah. You're a goner. Your life has gone. That's what it means. And
Yeah,
you've gone. You're buried. You're gone and buried, basically. So a
yes.
lot of people would spell goner as Gonna. You're a
Gone.
goner, something like that. Anyway. Okay. So let's carry on again.
A national emergency.
Oh, national
Mrs.
emergency.
Thatcher needs a crisis she can solve, and here it is. You think a few customs officers can take on the biggest drug gangs in Britain?
Absolutely. You love this, don't you? Your little uniform, your little bit of power.
Any sharp objects, sir?
What kind of VAT officer follows a bloke to Walthamstow Market? A bored one.
It's the Treasury. Did you attempt to illegally import a magazine called No Limit Nympho Nurses?
Could it have been a neighbour? I mean,
There's a chap over the road who wears shorts all year round.
Do you want me to go and talk to your neighbours about this?
No.
We're holding a 3-week top-secret training program for new recruits to attempt something we've never done before.
Are you sure?
It will be the greatest challenge of your lives, taking on a level of danger and risk unimaginable.
Where's the training? Did you miss the secret bit?
Would this be a promotion?
Is that overtime then? No.
Would we get a per diem?
Per what?
Lunch money.
Lunch money. Why are you, 12? We're not the police. We're not the spooks. We can do things they can't.
And it's just us.
It's just us.
So we do this with all the danger that comes with it. And if we die doing it, then no one ever knows that we did it at all.
Some people are cut out for it and some people aren't.
I don't know how to be here when that's still happening out there.
A war has started.
You don't know the half of it, mate.
So that looks really good.
Yeah.
There was lots of slang in that and lots of little bits which may have been. So I think this is set in the 1990s. So that's 30 years ago, or 30, yeah, 35 years ago, I suppose. So it was set in the time of Margaret Thatcher, when she was Prime Minister. I think you said that. So that was actually in the 1980s. Oh, and at the very end of she stopped being Prime Minister about 1991, I think it was. That's interesting. Okay. So any questions about a little bit there? It was perhaps quite tricky. Any questions?
Yeah, but I guess I understood the main meaning of this trailer.
Yeah. So what did
Yes.
you get from that? What is the
Yeah,
situation?
in general, overall, they are looking for the right person for them who would play like undercover policeman,
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I
and
agree with
they
you.
will do investigation
Mm,
to find out the drug dealer, yeah, like
mm.
this,
Yeah, I think
something.
so. Yeah, I think it was drugs, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I think you've got it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yes. So this seems to be the group of people that are picking their sort of investigators from. So, but they don't look anything like police, do they? Don't look anything like police officers to me. There might be the odd one. Maybe that guy there might just be a policeman. Maybe him too. But most of them just don't look like they're cut out for the role. So it'd be interesting. So, okay, let's go over to back to the article. So, click that there. So that was the let's get rid of that little flash across the top. So the thing seems to be called Legends. That's the name of the story, I think. And it has Steve Coogan as one of the key characters in it. So let's read about it here. So maybe once again, if you read perhaps a couple of paragraphs, if that's okay, then I'll read a couple of paragraphs. So, but tell you what, I'll start off with this bit in the dark type as the introduction, and then it's over to you. Okay. So, okay then. So it says, if I was to ask you to picture a show about undercover agents dismantling drug cartels, your mind would likely wander to the likes of Narcos or The Wire. So I think these are other TV shows about that same thing. So now it's over to you, Ruslan. So just read as much as you want, really, and as fast as you want, whatever. Okay, over to you.
So, following the release of Netflix Legends, which features Alan Partridge, star Steve Coogan, and a group of ordinary men and women tackling a hero epidemic. You can be forgiven for feeling slightly surprised. But after all 6 episodes of the Netflix thriller created by Neil Forsyth, the gold dropped on the streaming platform. The unlikely series has been hailed as genuinely fantastic by fans online.
Mm. Yeah, that was nice. Nice, nice, nice. Any
Yeah.
words in particular you want to go back over? I'll read it to you again if you want.
Yeah, okay, okay.
I'll read it now. Okay, I'll read it now then. Okay, so at the top from there on, from there. So, following the release of Netflix's Legends, which features Alan Partridge star Steve Coogan and a group of ordinary men and women tackling a heroin epidemic, you can be forgiven for feeling slightly surprised. But after all 6 episodes of Netflix thriller created by Neil Forsyth, The Gold, dropped on the streaming platform, the unlikely series has been hailed as genuinely fantastic by fans online. Right,
Uh,
okay.
yeah.
Does that make
In,
sense? There's any sort of bits in there? What does that mean?
yeah, actually, I want
Hmm.
to ask you, yeah, about the sense of first paragraph in last sentences and the second paragraph in last sentences
Okay.
about the meaning.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That bit
yeah,
there,
yeah,
you mean?
exactly, exactly. You can be forgiven fe- for feeling
Hmm.
slightly surprised.
Yeah. You can be forgiven. That is a little bit of a saying, which does get used quite a bit. Overall, I
Uh,
would say.
like,
So, so you could reduce that down to you might be a little surprised, or you could simplify that down to you might be a little bit surprised or slightly surprised.
it
If
looks
if you
like
yeah.
mm, I might be a bit surprised of, yeah.
Yeah, but in this case, when you say you can be forgiven, it's always me talking to somebody else in that sense. I would easily forgive you if you thought such and such, or I'd forgive you if you
Mm.
think this is how it is, something like that.
For
I'd
example,
forgive you.
Tony, if
Hmm.
I have done something wrong, yeah, and it
Yeah,
brought for you some uncomfortable, yeah, and then next day you tell me you can be forgiven if you bring me something,
mm.
if you bring me these things new, for example, yeah, if
Yeah,
I
to
broke you
replace it.
something,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That would be a way how you would normally use the word forgiven.
yeah, but
But
in
this
these
is this is a
sentences,
different way. Yeah, different way. Yeah.
mm,
It's just a form of words that we can use. It gets used a reasonable amount in English, and it's nothing really, in a sense, it's nothing to do with being forgiven or having forgiveness in that sense. It's a little bit about if I see something unusual, I can't think I can't think of a very good example here really. If you expect things to be one way and everything tends to point it to being in one particular way, but in truth it's something else, that's when you can use this phrase here. Oh, you can be forgiven for thinking that it's the normal way, the way that everyone think it is, but in truth, it's actually this other way. This is how it really is. And that's this. These few words are often used in that sense. It's nothing really to do with forgiveness as such. If there is forgiveness, it's about being mistaken about something. That I'm talking to you about something and you will almost certainly make a mistake because everyone thinks it's one particular way, but in truth it's the other way. So I could forgive you for making that mistake. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So there is forgiveness, I suppose, really, but it's simply about in your mind about thinking something is one way when it's in truth it's another way. That's all it is. So it's not really as
Yeah,
such, not normal level of forgiveness, really, I suppose. Okay. And you also said the very last sentence in the previous
yes.
the last paragraph. So the last paragraph says the Unlikely series has been hailed as genuinely fantastic by fans online.
Yeah, actually, I understand everything except
Mm.
has been hailed.
Oh,
Hailed, it's like
yeah. So the word is hailed, hailed, hailed.
hailed.
So when you greet, we don't really use this word that much at all nowadays in Britain. But if you hailing someone is greeting them, or when you first see something, you can hail it. If that makes any sense. Um, so I think you ever seen TV movies and they say Heil Hitler, or in the TV Heil Hitler? I think they're basically using the exact same word, but they're using the German version of the same word. I think I'm right in saying that. So let's just look up hail. So ours is hailed, past tense. So I've looked up hail. So if a person, event, or achievement is hailed as important or successful, they are praising it publicly. And that's really what we have here, isn't it? So hail consists of small balls of ice that fall from fall like rain from the sky. So it's frozen rain. Hail is also known as another word for frozen rain. And they don't really have, oh, what was that one there? So when you come from a particular place, or you're born in a particular place, you can say that you hail from there. I hail from London, you might say. Yeah. Okay. If you hail someone, you call to them. So you might hail a taxi. That's often a way you might use the word phrase in that sense. That word I should say in that sense. You might hail. If you want to stop a taxi, you put your hand down. You might call out. That's also called hailing a taxi. Hail. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah. So is this very first one here? I would say this one here. So their example sentence, this one here, it says, I'll read it to you. He has been hailed as the best centre back in the land. So that's on in football. So if you're a good defender in football, you're a centre back maybe. Yeah, in this sense.
yeah, it's like yeah, it's like as you said before, it is like a greet. Yeah, he
Yeah.
he, he was reward.
Mm.
Yeah, rewards. Yeah, a reward.
Re- Um, rewarded, but I think here you might say the word call. Call or Called, called. So he has been called the best centre back in the land. So I missed out the word
Okay.
as. Maybe
Yeah, yeah,
fit.
it makes sense.
So
Yeah.
called, hailed. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's get back there. I'm not quite sure how we got to that now. Um, when a new piece of art is, or a new sort of artist is discovered, you often talk about them being hailed as the new wonder artist, maybe, or the new somebody else, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So hailed.
Genuinely, genuinely fantastic. It is like a with a big emotion, yeah, and a big happy emotion.
Yeah. So if so, the word fan, as I've said before, comes from fantastic, that kind of a thing,
Yeah.
really. Yeah. So if something is fantastic, I had some of that fruit. I had that fruited bread, or bread with some fruit in it. It's similar to that Ukrainian Christmas cake that you sometimes have, I think, with ice on it. But it's just like a normal loaf with fruit in it. And that bread tastes absolutely fantastic. That bread is wonderful, really tasty bread.
Yeah.
So that's me genuinely using the word fantastic to describe bread.
Genuinely.
So if you're genuine, it just means that I really believe this. It's quite honest. I'm not making this up. It's not fake. It's absolutely true.
Yeah. Yeah,
But if you
Tony, and
say something's genuine in this sort of a sense, it does seem a bit fake, but never mind.
yeah, Tony, if I want to describe, for example, someone that this person is really genuine, or
Mm.
yeah, can I say like this?
Yeah,
Genuine?
yeah, genuine. Yeah,
Oh,
genuine.
genuine. He is
That's it.
genuine.
Very
Okay.
genuine. So that sort of means someone's very honest, comes over as being quite open and natural.
Open to help. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, helpful probably. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, open, frank is another way of saying something very similar.
Friendly. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
this.
friendly. Yeah, but so the word frank is sometimes used. If you say someone's frank, that it could be
Frankie.
a name. It could also be a name with a capital F. But if we give it a small f in this case, it just means they're very honest. If someone's frank, it
Yeah.
means they're very honest and very open. They might say, "Yes, I was in prison for 5 years." That means they're being very honest about their past.
Mm.
It's not necessarily saying that they're a very honest person. It's just they're being very honest about their past. If someone's very frank with me, they might say, "Tony, I want to be frank with you. You've got bad breath." And that's them being very honest. And they're saying something a bit painful for me to hear, maybe, but it's very honest, very frank, very open, probably very
Right.
genuine, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. But spelling the same, but we can recognize it. For example, if it's name, it should be from capital letter. Yeah.
Yeah,
If it genuine, it's just
genuine.
small.
Yeah,
If it genuine, it's small.
yeah. Let's put that in the dictionary. That I haven't said that in. Let's quickly pop it in here because I always bring out another meaning I didn't seem to know was there. If someone is frank, they state or express things in an open and honest way. So candid, which is again means sort of frank, means honest, open, free, round. Wow. So open, freely, direct, or direct is another way of saying it. When a letter, oh, that's franked. Yeah. So sometimes you get a letter in the mail, and the letter can be franked. It's just a way of talking about the type of stamp on the outside of the envelope. And it's got
It
nothing to do with the
means
meaning.
some, yeah.
So
On
say
a,
again?
it's looked like some marks on envelope.
Yeah, that's it. It's the out. That's right. The marks on the outside of the envelope. So maybe if I quickly tapped it in here, maybe they'll throw up a photo for us. So franked mail refers to mail that has been prepaid postage. So I look at the image. So so here's a photo here. This is a classic franked envelope. So it's this sort of thing in the top corner, the top right corner.
Um, frank mark
Yeah. So the franked. It's been franked. This is the symbol of it here being franked.
in franked. Yeah, okay, it's been franked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or this is the frank. Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's go back to here. But that's another use of the word, really. Okay. So anything else there that you noticed? Those couple of
Yeah,
paragraphs you
and
read?
just I wonder about pronunciation of tackling. Yeah, tackling,
Okay, tackling.
tackling or tackling. Hmm.
Quickly, where is the word? I'm not quite sure where the
Yeah,
word is.
it's actually last one sentence. Not last. I
Oh, I
said,
can see it. I can see it. Yeah,
yeah,
tackling. Yeah, tackling.
tackling. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
tackling.
that's it. Yes, tackle and tackling.
It is
Yeah.
like tackling. It is like to solve. Yeah, to find out.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. So it's a little bit like, but probably closer to the use of the word in football. You know, when one player tackles another
Tackle.
in football.
Yes.
Oh, are you not
Yeah,
interested in
it's
football at
actually
all?
when someone wants take ball from
Mm, mm, mm,
another.
mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm. That's right, where one player is trying to get the ball away from another player. That's it in football. That's it, a tackle. So it's when they sort of come together, they may bang against each other a little bit and they may bounce and jostle each other. But the idea is that you're playing the ball. You're not meant to hit the other person, not meant to do that. It might happen by accident in football. You're meant to be playing the ball, not the person. And that's a tackle when you meet the person and get the ball off them, try to get the ball off of them, or you do get it off of them. So it's not necessarily a gentle thing. So, and here in this situation, so it's men and women tackling a heroin epidemic. So heroin is the drugs,
Yeah. Yeah.
heroin, that drug here. And obviously it's not going to be a gentle thing, is it? Not going to sort of tickle it away with a feather. So, and they're tackling it. So it's a serious problem and it needs something doing about it. Yeah. Just as you said, really. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So use tackling when it's some sort of a problem, normally, that word there.
Yeah, I can,
Most
for
of the time, I'd
example,
say.
say I'm gonna tackling with this next week, yeah, with this problem next week, yeah. Can I say like this, yeah?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yes. I think you said tackling, but say, I'm going to tackle this problem next week. That's what you say.
Oh, yeah. For
So,
yeah, another way with ing, it is I'm tackling
yeah.
with my
It's,
homework. Yeah, it's actually right now. For example, it
yeah,
looks
that's
like.
that's pretty good. Yeah. So you could, yeah, more precisely, it sounds a bit odd to say I'm tackling my homework, but you
Uh,
probably say something like I'm doing my homework, really. So, yeah, you might say, I'm tackling this other problem. I'm tackling this problem today, and next week I'm going to tackle the problem you mentioned. Well, next week, as I just said.
yeah, yeah.
Tackle, and tackling. Yeah.
Okay. 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 Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
That's it.
Yes. I think I noticed when you were reading, I think it was the W, as I mentioned before, the W in women, but also I think you said it sounded.
Woman. Probably I said
Yeah, so
woman.
yeah, that's right. So it sounded like the singular, I think. It was in the middle. It wasn't clear if it's more than one or just or or one. So
Um,
yeah, so just be aware of that. But as it's the very first word in the sentence, I can easily understand that because as I've mentioned before, when you're reading a sentence, you're going along, then you come to the last word of the sentence. You have to very very quickly go to the very first word and then say it immediately. So you haven't really there isn't really enough time sometimes to process it and say it correctly. So the very first word of a sentence, there tend to be more problems with those words, I think. So, so women.
yeah.
I've already read this, haven't I? So women, but there was another W I noticed. I think it was the word W in which. Yes, I think it was this one here,
Which,
wasn't it? Yeah, that's it.
yeah,
Yeah, which. You've got it. Yeah, which.
which.
That's it. Um, I think so. The possessive or the S on the end didn't sound quite right. So he's got an X there, and sort of X sort of sounds a bit essy as well, doesn't it? X or
Yeah, yeah,
flicks,
it's actually
and
easy,
then put an S on
easier.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
kind of disappeared the S on the end there. So it is tricky to say. So I'll try and say it now. So Netflix's, yeah, that's it. Netflix's, Netflix's,
It's,
yeah. I mean, in it doesn't really matter really in a sense because I understood what you were saying. Um, this name is so it's Forsyth. Forsyth.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, Scythe.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Oh,
Scythe.
for
Yeah.
Scythe.
Yeah.
The name for Scythe.
Your TH is a bit F at the moment. I think when you
Oh,
have yeah, so
for Scythe. For,
yeah, you'll get
for
it. You'll get it.
Scythes. Yeah, for
Yeah.
Scythes.
Yeah, you'll get it in time. You'll get it. You'll get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, what
Let me
else was
say
there?
again, genuinely, genuinely, yeah,
Um,
genu,
You you're pretty much there, but the U is a bit of a it comes out as a bit of a W I sound, I would say, like a w sort of a sound. W. Let me
new,
just say that word again so you can practice it. So genuine or genuine.
uh, genuine,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
genuinely,
Yeah, that sounds
yeah,
pretty good. Yeah.
genuine.
Oh, not that last
Okay,
one, maybe. Not the very last one, but the first one you did was spot on. Yeah, spot on. Let's quickly pop it in here. So genuine attempt, genuine.
yeah, genuine.
So let's listen.
Genuine,
Yeah, genuine. He's saying, I think he's saying that, isn't he?
genuine,
So it sounds to me like he's saying gen, then it says
Yeah,
you. I think gen you, and then it very quickly turns into win. Gen
you,
you win. I think that's what it sounds like he's saying. Anyway, let's listen again.
genuine,
Genuine. Genuine. So it could be genuine and genuine. Let's listen again.
genuine,
Genuine. Well, whichever one you.
genuine.
Yes.
Yeah,
So let me play it again. Then then it's your go. So I'll play it once more. Then it's your go.
genuine,
genuine,
Yeah, that's pretty much there. I would say. That's it.
genuine.
Genuine. Genuine. It's fairly common. It means sort of basically means honest, almost like frank. Really. It's got three pellets there, so it's a fairly common
Yeah,
word.
it's actually
V2.
a high level of English
Um,
words from high
yeah.
level.
But okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back then. So there's our word. So genuinely fantastic. Okay. So this is now my go for
Yeah,
reading these next two paragraphs here. So I'll read this one and make any notes of any odd words or strange meanings. Here we go. So based on the incredible Hmm. I think it should be incredibly, but never mind. So, based on the incredible, little-known true story of a highly controversial and top-secret operation in the 1990s to tackle drug smuggling across Britain's borders, Legends unveils how an undercover customs official busted £1 billion worth of Class A drugs. Philomena star Coogan plays Don, the head of operations for HM Customs and Excise, which in which is in charge of recruiting and training the customs officers. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't. Okay, so anything in particular there? I made a few mistakes, but anything there?
Yeah, I am aware of a controversial, yeah,
Oh
but
yeah,
probably my pronunciation is not so correct. I guess so.
pretty good.
Controversial, yeah, controversial,
Yeah, you're pretty good. So controversial,
uh,
controversial.
controversial,
It's got the AL on the end of it there, so controversial, controversial.
controversial.
Yeah, that's it.
Controversial. Yeah, it looks like a situation. It looks like particular situation where is arguments. Yeah,
Yeah, something can be argued about. Yeah.
argue about. Okay, yeah, it's
So it's a little bit like
argue about. Yeah.
there's should we build nuclear power stations? Some people think that's controversial. Some people say nuclear power stations are too dangerous. Some people say, yeah, they are there's risks with them, but if we do this and this, we can mitigate those risks or make the risks smaller. But we need the electrical power. We need the electricity. So
Yeah.
certain things are controversial, I would say. They need to be debated. People say global warming. It used to be controversial, and now we just call it climate change.
Yeah, yeah, actually true. Yeah, and next one,
Hmm.
unveils,
Ah.
unveils.
Yeah, you got the got the U, I guess, then the V. Yeah, so maybe we just say that word there. So it's just those four letters. I've missed the S off, and I've missed the UN at the front. So veil, veil,
Oh, whale, whale,
veil.
whale,
Yeah, you're getting there. Definitely getting there. Yeah. So
whale.
veil. So a woman often, it's normally in the UK, a woman will wear a veil on her wedding day. So when a woman wears a wedding dress, they have a veil over their face. So it's a thin piece of cloth which is made in such a way so you can see through it reasonably clearly and can look very attractive. So it's a sort of a thin sort of material which you can see through, a veil.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you unveil something, you're sort of revealing it in its full glory or its full horror. If it's a bad thing, in its full horror, you might say. So here it's
okay.
the TV show, well, it's the Netflix TV show or television show unveils something or other how an undercover customs official busted £1 billion worth of da 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 da, the story. So if you
Yeah,
unveil something,
okay.
you reveal it. It's been revealed so you can see
Revealed.
it
Yeah,
clearly.
okay. It's
See it
like a
clearly.
revealed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, reveal in some way.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
So do you want to just say the word again? So this is unveils. Unveils.
Mm. And Wales. And Wales.
Yeah, you're definitely getting there. Definitely getting there, I would say. Um,
Wales.
what I'm sometimes I'm hearing. So let's just put the word up there. So the full word is Can I spell it correctly? Unveils with an S. Sometimes I'm hearing something like unwales. It sounds like you're sort of going to say unwales. That's what I'm sort of hearing sometimes. Unwales. But you're not quite saying that. Again, you're somewhere between the two of these words. Because
Yeah.
this word doesn't really exist. I've made that one up. So we'll do it a
Yeah.
couple more times. Then we'll just do the veil in the middle. So the V is where I think the V sound is quite similar. Is it V is similar to B? Let's think. So and yeah, V and B are quite similar. The two letters we make the V sound is similar to the B sound, I think, isn't it? So if I do the B first of all. So that's
Yeah.
V, and the B is B, 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 and this one is V, V. So I'm not quite sure if you're doing the W sound or somewhere between the middle of all three of these sounds. So, but it's not quite not fully the V sound you're doing. It's some between all of these three sounds, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's
Actually,
sort of, it
you're
just sounds
right.
a bit
Yeah.
unclear. I can guess what you're saying. Yeah, actually, thinking about it, I probably if you read that out, I wouldn't have known what it was the very first time you said it, sort of 6 minutes or 5, 6 minutes ago. But yeah,
Mm.
but you're definitely getting it. You are getting there, and it is not just you. I think is it the Germans? I forget now. A lot of people do struggle with this sound, but who is it that struggles with it? I don't know now, but I think the Germans mix up the V and the W quite a lot, but they say them quite clearly, but they mix the sounds up. So that's what I'm saying. So if I just say this one then, so just it once more, or twice more maybe. So unveils, unveils. One more go.
In Wales. Let me say
I
that.
heard that one.
Okay. Okay. Wales. And Wales. No, and and Wales.
Oh,
And Wales.
hmm.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, strange. It's odd when we're practicing it. Sometimes you're making a pretty good V sound, but when you put it into the middle of the word, it changes the say. Yeah, it's just so strange. When you're saying it the last two or three times, it's pretty clearly this word down the bottom here, and Wales. So,
Yeah.
maybe just try the word not just, but so we're talking about this word too. So reveal. So it's got a V too. Let's try that one. So reveal, reveal.
Reveal. Reveals.
Yeah, yeah. So that one
Reveals.
sounds reasonably clear there. Yeah, reveals. Yeah,
Unveil. Unveil. I don't know.
yeah,
It's actually tricky for me to make
yeah,
V
yeah,
and E together,
yeah,
and when I try to do it together, and it's became like a W
yeah, yeah,
sound, I
yeah, yeah,
guess,
yeah,
like
yeah,
this.
yeah. Mm, yeah. Okay. I'm sure you
Mhm.
get it in time, though. I'm sure you
Yeah,
get it in time.
I need to practice here with this.
Yeah, well, don't overdo it because sometimes you can end up just getting more and more frustrated about something. I think
Mhm.
in
Yeah,
time you'll
yeah,
get
yeah.
it. In time, I think. So we've looked at that first paragraph, I think, but the second paragraph, much shorter down here.
Um,
So Philomena is a name, a lady's. I think of that as a lady's name, but here I think it must have been a TV show. I think the name of a TV show, and Coogan was in that show. Steve Coogan was in it, playing some role, I guess. So plays Don. That's another man's name. So Don could be short for Donald. I don't know
okay,
why.
done. Done.
Don, yeah. When you're the head, it means you're the
At,
boss, of course.
yeah, at
So it says HM excise, so customs and excise. What does that mean to you? Anything at all?
uh,
Hmm.
Um, I don't know actually.
Okay. So in the UK, beg your pardon, whenever we see HM or HM, we think of it means Her Majesty or His Majesty. So it's talking about the King or the Queen,
Oh,
basically.
really?
HM. Yeah, that's right. So this particular organization is called HM Customs and Excise. So it's at the time it would have been Her Majesty's Customs and Excise. So there's no such organization now with this particular name. So it ceased to be about 10
It
years ago, I
it
think.
can be His and Her Majesty, yeah.
Yes, at the time it could have been, yes. So nowadays, this particular organization doesn't exist, but we still use the HM in that same way.
Oh, but
So
it is
yeah.
like a slang, or it
No,
can
it's
be
no.
written
No,
in
it's
a.
proper. It's a proper good English. This would be.
Okay.
So HMT is her. Or sorry, nowadays it would be His Majesty's Treasury. So this is where, when you pay your taxes, this is where all the taxes go, and they deal with the finance of the country. So the HMT.
Okay.
So the other one, on the one we read about, was HM Customs and Excise. That doesn't exist anymore, or they basically changed the name. It's now HM is now, say, RC. It's now got a new name. So it's His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. So it's got a new name now.
Yeah. Okay.
And HMG, I think, would be His Majesty's Government. So it tends to be all these
Oh,
very official organizations which come through, I don't know, the Parliament and acts of law that you and I probably won't really ever deal with them at all. But you will often hear in the news they say, some say is it called that? I think this is the technically the correct name. This is His Majesty's Foreign and Commonwealth Office. But in the news on the BBC or Sky, they would just say the Foreign Office, FO, Foreign Office. But the full name is HMFCO, I think, unless I'm wrong. So it's all these sort of very official bodies, really, that we don't really have direct dealings with. And there's probably loads of them. I don't really know all of them, to be honest.
okay. It's actually
Hmm.
useful to know.
Yes. So if you applied for a passport, there's probably some organization I have to come across, and it would probably start with HM something or other. And I can't remember which one it is. Okay, so let's scroll on. Whoops. Ah, so I've got more photos here. So that's Steve Coogan again, and he's in this sort of bit of a desolate area. So I would describe the background as being desolate. Desolate. So it's a bit like a desert. There's a lack of things there. It looks like maybe there was a factory there and it's been removed.
It looks like a bit of outskirts
Yeah, of
of
somewhere or
some.
other. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think they said it was set in the 1990s. In the 1980s, 10 years before that, there was a lot of unemployment in the UK. A lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot of factories were knocked down and destroyed, and there were a lot of open places, as we see in the background here. So I think they're sort of trying to get that, regenerate that atmosphere there was in the 1980s of certain amount of desolation, a bit like a desert in a sense in places. So, do you fancy reading this little bit here?
Okay.
Okay, it's a bit short, but give it a go.
Mm. Uh, Alongside him, Tom Berg, Furiosa, Max Sega, the senior, the senior plays guy, a working class customs officer who is looking for meaning in his life before Don recruits him.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Anything there?
Yeah, let me tell you about the meaning of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually this is picture just show us the main character, yeah.
Go on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, of this movie, and
Yeah.
he is actually like a working class who are looking for the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say actually that this is guys looks like a
Mm.
working class because
Sorry, you mean this guy here, working class? Is that what you mean?
yeah, you know.
I don't think it's talking about him, but yeah, carry on though. Carry on.
Okay, Tony, probably yeah, correct me because probably I need to read it again, or if you don't mind, could you read it again and I will retell what I understand from second time.
I think part of the problem is there's sort of like there's this
Um,
big sort of pink advert in the middle, and
ah,
I sort of scrolled through that. But
probably
I
yeah.
think if we were reading this in a newspaper, because the Metro is a newspaper, we'd have got to there and immediately we'd have then flicked down to here within half a second, and we'd have carried on reading down to here. So, and I think we sort of stopped and we've broken it up quite a bit. So I'll read it again from here, and then I'll include the bit that you just read. So I'll read that again from the top though.
Okay.
So Philomena star Coogan, which is this guy here, plays Don, the head of operations for HM Customs and Excise, who is in charge of recruiting and training the customs officers. Alongside him, Tom Burke, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, The Souvenir, plays Guy, a working class customs officer who is looking for meaning in his life, who is looking for meaning in his life before Don recruits him. Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah, so they're going through the stars one by one. So the first one was Coogan at the top, and then we get to Tom Burke. So that's how that surname is pronounced, Burke. And I guess maybe if we scroll down, I saw another photo. Maybe that's Tom Burke. I don't know. It might not be. I'm guessing here. I'm totally guessing. Maybe. So they're just describing the people who are in it. But I would say 95% of people in Britain would know this guy's face. Even if they couldn't name him, they would know his face and probably laugh on seeing his face. Oh, I like that guy. He's funny. That kind of thing. So let's go back to a little bit we were reading then. So yeah, I liked how you started off. Actually, I liked how you sort of got to that comma and stopped just there for half a second. So alongside him, and you stopped for half a second. That was brilliant. And then said Tom Burke. That's it. Yeah, yeah. So that surname is Burke. It's I think often it's a sort of as an Irish name. I think Burke. Um, and Mad Max was a series of films. I was going to name the actor, but I can't think of his name. But so
but
futuristic films set in a sort of dystopian world, made many years ago, a brilliant set of films. And that word there is saga. Do you want to give it a go? Saga?
saga,
Yeah, saga.
saga.
So, saga. So, we often talk about Viking sagas, and it's really Viking stories. But when you say saga, it's kind of a sort of perhaps a bit of a mythical story, maybe something of a legend, because this is called a legend, the thing we're looking at here. And so when it's a legend or a saga, we don't know how much truth is in it. Often it's
Okay.
not.
Okay.
But with Mad Max, this is a completely
Mhm.
made up story. It's completely made up, hopefully. It's set in the future after all, isn't it? But I think the word saga is part of the title of the movie, so it's not really a saga in that sense. Maybe that next word there, that's got a capital S on the end of it, so maybe that's part of the title of the movie as well. I don't know. And I would pronounce that as souvenir.
Souven-
Souvenir.
Souvenir.
Souvenirs.
Souvenir.
S-
It-
mhm.
It's actually when you um, said souvenir, I
Mm.
understand it's like a small piece of things where people go and
Mm. Mm.
buy for
Yeah.
the memory. It
Yeah.
looks like this, yeah?
Yeah. That's exactly the thing. Yeah, that's the word I think. So, so a souvenir is something which you buy or keep to remind you of a holiday, place, or event.
Yeah,
So another word is, which is quite good, is keepsake. Keepsake. So
keep
you keep
sake.
something for the sake of the memory. You keep something for the sake of
Sake, it's actually means memory, yeah? Sake.
Not really. The word sake doesn't mean memory. Sake. But perhaps it does actually. Hold on. I don't know if we. I suppose it does actually, but I don't know if we really use it necessarily in that way. So let's have a. Um, so I've just tapped in the word sake. So it says. Let's listen to how they say it.
Sake.
Probably nothing, yeah, means, yeah.
Right. So sake. Got down to the definition here. So sometimes you say for the sake of something. Sometimes, oh, I'll do this for the sake of the children, you might say, or do this for the sake of the country, you might say.
Ah,
So here, this and the first one is benefit or interest, especially in the phrase for. So for someone's or
ah,
someone's own sake. So the benefit. So another way of talking about it is the purpose of obtaining or achieving, especially in the phrase for the sake of something. So for the sake of, I don't know, sake of education, I suppose. I don't know. Used in various exclamations. So if you're angry about something or excited about something, you might say, for heaven's sake. You might say, oh, for heaven's sake, stop making that noise, you might say to someone sitting next to you on the train. Or for Pete's sake. Yeah, that's a good one. For Pete's sake. So for Pete's sake, I think that's probably, Peter, the apostle of Jesus. I think that's
yeah,
probably a
okay,
reference to him.
okay.
But we don't really know for certain. That's what I would say. And so the little phrase for Pete's sake, it's sort of like not a swear. It's as it says, it's an exclamation of annoyance or impatience. So if I'm driving along in my car and someone is stopped at the traffic lights and they've gone green and they're just sitting there not moving, I might shout out the window, for Pete's sake, go on, the light's green. I might shout out the window
Yeah,
if I was
okay,
very
okay.
angry.
For Pete's sake, yeah, for Pete's sake.
Pete's sake, yeah, for Pete's sake, get on, yeah, yeah.
It's in this way you want to say someone, please move it, do it, yeah, and don't think too much, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's no please in it though. You're annoyed. You've missed out any pleases or thank yous. You're just annoyed and you're shouting probably, or there's a certain excitement in your voice.
Yeah.
And similarly, for heaven's sake, oh, for heaven's sake, And that's how you
For
might say it.
example,
A heaven
Tony,
sent. Yeah.
if I ask someone do something for me, and can I say it with this, please, for Pete's sake, make it for me, you know?
No, but you might say, perhaps to your partner, you might say, "Oh, please do it for me. For Pete's sake, please cook it for me. I love that dinner that you cook." So it would just about work, but no,
Yes.
you almost only ever say, "For Pete's sake," if you're slightly annoyed about something, something's gone wrong, and
Uh,
you're sort of telling someone off. "Oh, for Pete's sake, why has this happened again?" You're annoyed about something. That's sort of what happens. And it is very British. To me at least, it sounds incredibly British thing to say. So if you say it with a, a visitor's accent to the country, they probably wouldn't be expecting you to say something like that. So it
yeah.
might confuse people.
Mhm.
So you may say it perfectly, but they wouldn't be expecting you to say it. So maybe avoid using it, I suspect, to be honest, maybe the best thing. So be aware of what it means. But I've
Yeah.
just scrolled down. There's another meaning here. So this is sake. So this is basically Japanese spirits or alcohol. Sake.
Um,
Sake. Oh, they've got the other spelling down here. So there's an accent over the E or an I. So let's listen how they say it. And it's sake.
Sake.
Oh, they're saying, I'm surprised. So,
Saki.
huh? Well, oh, yeah. I don't know. I think they've made another mistake here. So they're saying, what's the other one?
Sake.
Sake or sake? Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's that. That's the one. That's the pronunciation for the alcoholic drink, the Japanese alcoholic drink. Okay, so here we go. We're back here again. Okay. So when it says up here on this, back in the story again, so plays Guy, what does that mean? So I think it's saying Tom Burke plays Guy. So I missed out the brackets. What is it saying there?
it means that Tom Berg plays someone else.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Who
Like
happens to be yeah, who happens to be called Guy. That is their name in the story. Guy.
oh,
Okay, so again, with a capital G, it means it's a person's name. If it was a small g, it would be just anybody. Because sometimes we say, "Hey guys, let's go
yeah.
over to the pub and have our dinner there." So sometimes we say guy, and we mean is just men in general or people in general. So it can be men and women, or it can just be men sometimes. And sometimes ladies sometimes say, "Hey guys," and it's just girlfriends.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So this other line here says, so the series has been hailed as fantastic following its release. Picture from Netflix. It looks very tempting. I think I'd like to watch it personally. I
Yeah.
give this. I read this next.
Have you seen it? No.
No, it came out yesterday on Netflix, and I don't
Oh,
have Netflix, so I can't see it unless they put it on some other terrestrial television, as we said earlier.
yeah.
Terrestrial as being on
Terrestrial. Yeah.
Earth rather than sort of some specialized system. So this bit here says the six-part thriller tells an unbelievably little known true story. Picture Netflix.
Mm.
I think I said unbelievably, but it's really, really, really an unbelievable little known story. Unbelievable.
But Tony, they are talking about true story. It's actually was real. Yeah.
Yeah, it says true story. Yes. Yeah, true.
Mm.
If we go back to the photo we looked at, oh, not as the photo, but I cleared the. We watched the video, didn't we? So it was the video. There's one point in the video where Steve Coogan seems to be talking to a group of people sitting down, and he's talking about what the operation will involve. And one of the people says, "Will there be lunch money?" And he can't believe how petty they're being. They're talking about catching heroin heroin smugglers, and one of the officers is talking about, "Will there be lunch money?" Yeah, so if someone says that's kind of sort of means they're probably not suitable for the role. At least maybe they should be in the office dealing with the paperwork, right? Maybe.
Yeah,
I'd love
but
to watch this.
actually,
Yeah.
I guess it is some point um, man-made for make people laugh. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So I think that's very well spotted. So if we go back to that story again, back to the photo, I should say. He looks, as I say, slightly too serious. His look down there is very pompous, and his pompous look at the newspaper here puts a slight laugh in my heart when I look at this photo. And you very well spotted it. You spotted it very well, I thought, in that scene that we saw at the very beginning, where that lady said, "Is there lunch money?" Again, yeah, he was being slightly sarcastic and funny in that role. So they've got exactly the right person to play the role. So he is being slightly funny in some of the pieces in this story. I think well spotted. I think well spotted. Yeah, you've really got the sense of it there, I think.
Yeah, Tony. And from this story, I understood that uh, it's splitted in 6 episodes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
six part. Six part. It actually
Yeah.
means like six serials. Yeah, six serials. Yeah. Or,
Um, from what I've seen here, I would expect it to be 6 weeks when they're showing this show at the same time each time, presumably on a Thursday, I guess it would be, on Netflix. That's what I expect. So normally they sort of show one this week, and then there'll be another one on the same day next week, and it will carry on for six times. That's normally what I would expect. Maybe they're
yeah.
an hour and a
Okay.
half each, or something like that, or an hour perhaps. But it looks,
Yeah. Yeah.
what I've read here
Okay.
looks very good.
Oh,
Do you
there
want to
is
carry
something
on
about
reading?
Moscow.
Say again, Moscow?
There is something about Moscow. Did
Oh,
you
is
see
there?
it?
No.
Here, just the second paragraph and the end. This page and the
Oh,
end.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. A
Oh,
gentleman in Moscow.
hmm. So one thing they're doing is whenever there's an actor, and in this case it's, I guess, someone called Johnny Harris, they then
Mhm.
mention a very well-known story or piece or cinema or piece in the cinema that they played in, and this seems to be something he acted in, I guess. So I've definitely heard of something called The Night Manager, and that was uh, sort of a spy story, The Night Manager. And we've already had Mad Max, about a paragraph earlier, in brackets.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
There's
Mhm.
something Souvenir and The Saga was or something. I don't quite know which one it was now, but yeah. So I think that's the
It is
story.
like a nickname, yeah? For, we can
Not
say
really a
like the.
nickname. So if you wanted to refer to me, you might say, "Oh, Tony. The Tony that does the sounds of English." that's how you might refer to me, because if you wanted to be quite clear which Tony you're talking about, because you've met the other Tony, haven't you? If when you come to
Yeah,
so
true.
there's two of us, so you might say, oh, the Tony that does that. But here, because it's an actor and they want to give the actor full credit for his work, and they also want to advertise the thing a little bit. So you might have let's say you really, really enjoyed The Night Manager. So let's say The Night Manager up there. I really loved that program, The Night Manager. It was on TV a few years ago. It's fantastic. Well, if you really like that, Hayley Mills from The Night Manager is in this story. So you might
Mhm.
like this story too. That's often what they do, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's just quickly search that phrase. So, a gentleman in Moscow. I've not heard of that, to be honest. So let's quickly search it. So
Probably he
hopefully,
moved to the UK and BKE, and it people know him like a man from Moscow.
hmm. Yeah, kind of, yeah. So I've quickly searched it here, and I think this review comes from Wikipedia. It might not do actually. So read this review here. It says, then it's in italics, and that's normally a way of highlighting that's the title of something when they're sort of recording it, when they're talking about it here. So it says, a gentleman in Moscow opens. So when it says opens, it sounds like it could be a film or a book. So it opens in 1922 as Count Alexander Rostov is sentenced to house arrest in Moscow's opulent Metropole Hotel, confined to an attic room. Do you know, I have heard of this. I have heard of this story. He adapts with quiet resolve, forging lasting bonds with staff and guests, while decades of upheaval reshape the world beyond its doors. So, publication date, the 6th of September 2016. I've heard of this story. I have heard of it. Interesting. Of course, 1922, that was when the Red Army finally defeated the White Army, was it? In Russia? I know nothing about Russian history, to be honest. So I think 1922 was roughly the end of the Russian Civil War, that sort of started about 1917. But I'm no expert, so do correct me if you know I'm wrong, of course. Do correct me, please. Yeah, I'm tempted to get that book now. It sounds a very good story. Okay, so do you want to read this little bit here, or should I read it, or we could end it if you wanted.
Yeah, okay, okay. Which part shall I read?
I don't think we've read any of this here. So you want to read from, I don't know, Hayley. So that's a name, Hayley Squires. That name is there. So do you want to read that bit started from there? So Hayley
Yeah.
Squires.
Haley Squires, the night manager, plays fellow um stubborn, stubborn customers officer Kate, who infiltrates a gang in Liverpool. Tom Huggins is the ruthless character, and Amin plays another operative called Belia.
Okay. Let me read that back to you then.
Yeah,
So that one there, that's Bailey. I would say that name there.
Bailey.
It's basically a surname, a reasonably well-known surname in Britain. So Bailey. So that those first four letters are Bale, and the
Bailey.
EY on the end makes it Bailey. That's a name, I should say, a person's surname. So I'll read the whole thing from Hayley again then. So Hayley Squires, the night manager, plays fellow stubborn customs officer Kate, who infiltrates a drug gang in Liverpool. Tom Hughes is the ruthless Carter, and Amal Amin plays another operative called Bailey. Okay, so
Yeah.
that word there. So that's stubborn.
Uh,
Stubborn.
stubborn. Stubborn. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the end, this isn't really how you'd pronounce it. So that's an R and then an N, RN. So do you know what stubborn means? The word stubborn?
Uh, yeah. It's like someone
Mm.
is. It's like very difficult to
Mm.
persuade someone.
Yes. Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So someone is stubborn, they stick to something. It might be their beliefs or they don't want to do something, maybe.
Stubborn.
So stubborn. So
Yeah.
let's just listen to how they say it. Stubborn. So it's sort of the letters a bit tricky. The letters aren't always exactly how you might expect it. So let's listen to them.
Stubborn.
Stubborn. So on the end, it's got basically born, doesn't it? If when you're born in whatever year, born
Yeah.
1970 or something.
Stubborn. But
But
stubborn. Stubborn.
um, yeah, it might. What I'm saying is there's four letters on there, and they spell out the word born. But
Born.
when you're actually saying it, the word stubborn, you're not really saying born on the end of it. So just to make that quite clear. um, so let's just play it again. Stubborn,
Stubborn.
stubborn, stubborn. Yeah, it's. Do you want to give it a go? Stubborn. You'll go.
Stubborn.
Yeah,
Stubborn.
yeah. Your first one was the better one. So I'll do it once more. So stubborn, stubborn. That's twice. You'll go.
Stubborn.
Okay, so stubborn. So um so maybe I'm saying stubborn. I mean, a slight gap in there, I suppose. Stubborn. Well, I suppose when you're saying it, it sounds like it sounds a little bit too continuous. And also, I think there's a bit of a high. So stubborn. I think there's a bit of a high. You sort of raise your voice slightly for the U, I guess. Stubborn, stubborn. So maybe it sounds. This bit sounds like that's one sound or phoneme or something, not phoneme, but syllable. And then you come with the second part, I suppose. Stubborn, stubborn. So I'm
Stubborn.
saying stub and then bun, stubborn.
Stubborn.
Yes, that sounds a lot better. Stubborn, stubborn. Right?
Stubborn. Stubborn.
Yeah, that's getting it. That really is getting it. Yeah, that's definitely getting it there. So it's another B2 word there. Okay, let's flick back. So you had the meaning. So it's obstinate, someone who sticks to what they believe. They don't. It's difficult to get them to change their mind. Whatever.
Yeah.
So this is a stubborn customs officer, Kate. So maybe that's Kate up there. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so what does she do? So what does
Uh,
she do? So it says
uh,
there.
I'm not sure exactly in infiltrates.
Yeah, that's
Infiltrates. Infiltrates.
pretty close. So infiltrates, 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 infiltrates. So she's an undercover officer and she wants the other members of the drug gang to believe that she is another member of the gang, but she's really a police or some sort of officer of some sort, isn't she? So when you do that, when you're playing that sort of role, when you're trying to get in, you can say, I am infiltrating. That's the process of getting in to a gang and you're trying to catch the gang.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Infiltrates. Infiltrates. So
Infiltrate. Infiltrate.
yeah, that's it.
Infiltrates.
That's it. You got it. Spot on. That's it. Yeah. So ours got the S on the end. So infiltrates. So
Mm.
Kate, who infiltrates a drug gang in Liverpool.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. I'll read the next bit then. So Tom Hughes. So that name there, believe it or not, is Hughes. So not
Mm.
Huggis or something. So yeah, it's a bit tricky, but that's how it is. Originally, I think Hughes was an Irish name, I believe. So I don't know. I keep mentioning that, but I do. So is the ruthless Carter. So what does ruthless mean? Ruthless.
It's like a cruel, yeah, Tony.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, exactly. That's it. Spot on.
Mm.
So they do whatever they have to do to get done whatever they want to do. Okay. So normally we talk about that in criminal terms, the ruthless criminal. So he beat somebody because he wanted to, get some money or something, whatever it is. Um,
Yeah.
okay. So I would pronounce this Amel. So it's AML. And the last part is Amin. I would say Amin.
Mm.
That's my. I'm not seen this name before, but that's how I would pronounce it. Amel Amin. And I said this at the beginning. Do you remember how to pronounce
Yeah.
this surname?
Bailey.
That's it.
Bailey.
That's it. You've
Yeah.
got it. You've got it. Bailey. That's it. Well done.
Yes.
And I interrupt you a little bit. So do you want to do the next one there? That last little
Yeah,
one.
okay. Meanwhile, Jasmine Blackborough, Blackborough, the gentleman, and Douglas uh, Hugger round out the cast as Erin and Blake,
Mm,
while Johnny Harris, a gentleman in Moscow, is Adia.
mm. Yes, that last one is just Eddie. Eddie.
Adia.
Yeah.
Adia.
It could be almost like a Y on the end of it, and I think you can spell it that way with a Y or IE here. Yeah, that's pretty good. So that the name's always a bit tricky. They're always
Yeah,
tricky
true.
because the
True.
sound is different from how they're spelt often as not, aren't they? So this name here, well, let's do the first part of the name as well. I think you had the first name spot on actually, but the surname is tricky. So I would say that as Hodge, Hodge,
Oh, much. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
Hodge. And the first name over here is exactly as you said it, Douglas.
What?
Douglas. So do you know anyone called Douglas? Because you said that you pronounced that so well. I thought you must come across it use it quite a lot, I
Douglas?
suspect.
No,
Douglas.
no, I don't know.
So a lot of people are called Doug. So
Uh,
that's one way you could spell Doug. I think perhaps the only way you could spell Doug. I've got a neighbour who's called Doug.
uh,
So
Doug.
let's say that it's short for Douglas. And Douglas, there's a place in Scotland called Douglas. That's a place.
What is the place actually? Okay, and
Oh, but
name
here it's
and
a
place.
person. Here it's a person's name. Here it's a person's name, which is quite common. As I said, my neighbour's got the name Doug. So, um, and this name here. So you said Jazz Mine, which is how it looks, but it's most people say it as Jasmine. Jasmine. So that's
Jasmine.
simply, yeah,
Jasmine.
yeah, you've got it. I say Jasmine. And I've not seen this name before, but I would say as Blackborough. Blackborough.
Black.
But I'm guessing that I've not seen the name before, but I suspect that's how it's pronounced. Blackborough. Is this the last paragraph? Oh, there's a little bit more to go. So maybe we'll make this the last one here because we've been here more than an hour now.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
online more than an hour, but the class is probably 10 minutes shorter than that. Okay, so maybe I'll read this one and then you read the next one. How about that? And then we'll call it a
Yeah,
day.
it's
This is
cool.
my one then. So, set during an era when Margaret Thatcher's government, Conservative government, was facing mounting political pressure over the illegal drugs being trafficked in Britain, an unconventional solution was implemented. And we'll miss out this little pink box here, although it's probably quite important. Then it says, a group of ordinary individuals. Oh, this is your bit, so isn't it? So I'm just reading. I just forgot.
You can carry on with this,
Oh,
and
you're so kind. You're so kind.
yeah.
I'll carry on then. So, okay. So a group of ordinary individuals who risked everything undertook a mission to fight the war on drugs after being selected to go undercover. While on their mission, they were tasked with penetrating some of Britain's most dangerous trafficking networks and dismantling them from within, despite not being professionally trained operatives. Is that true? I didn't know that. Despite not being trained. Wow.
Despite not being trained. Did you say like this?
Yeah, I didn't read it properly. So, despite not being professionally trained operatives.
Actually, in real life, if it happened, they would be discovered very fast, I guess so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. But when we went to that clip at the very beginning, we saw Steve Coogan in front of that crowd, and I go back to that same story I've mentioned before, and the lady at the back says, "Will there be tea money or lunch money?" No, lunch money wasn't. I think he said. And they're talking about catching drugs criminals. She wants lunch money or something. No, yeah. So that's yeah. I'm gonna have to watch this story, I think. So, anything you want to ask about this little bit we've just read then?
Yeah, not really in general. Yeah, in general, I get the main meaning of it. Yeah, is okay.
Okay, so let's scroll
Bit
on.
down, we have this is the how is this is the players of the characters, yeah.
Oh yeah. This seems to be like they're showing off the actors or the characters they're playing.
Actors, yeah.
In terms of the story, they would probably never stand like that altogether. So yeah.
It was where was it recorded? It's probably in the British, yeah, I guess so.
Somewhere in Britain.
Somewhere in British. Okay, in Britain.
No, Britain.
Oh, Britain.
But they did mention Liverpool at some point, so that's in the middle of the country, roughly speaking, on the coast.
Yeah.
So the northeast, northwest, isn't it?
And the name of this movie is like Legend, yeah?
Yeah, it seems to be. I think it might have an S on the end of it. I think it might have been called Legends.
Legends. Okay.
Let's get back to the beginning again.
Yeah, I will try to find this movie in YouTube or probably in someone else.
See if someone has it. Yeah. Oh, that's the lady who's asked about the lunch money. Fantastic. Yes.
I guess there is a salary allows her to have lunch for his money.
What do you mean?
I mean, if she will be taken for this position,
Mm.
no, let's imagine it happened. She will earn earn enough money to have a lunch for his money, not for the
Oh,
company. Like this, I guess so.
okay.
Because it should be paid well
I'm sure. Yeah.
position.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think you're right. Yes.
Do you think it can happen in real life?
Um, well, they're saying it's a true story, and I've got no reason to doubt them. So I think
Oh,
on the whole, this will be a true story. I think, and they'll stick to pretty much exactly what happened. They might have to change the names and locations, this sort of stuff. But yeah,
Tony, would you like
yeah.
to try like this position?
I don't think I'd be any good at it necessarily, but yeah, it might. Yeah, possible, not impossible. So this guy here, he looks very much like the person who would normally be working at HM Customs and Revenue, Customs and Excise. He just looks like a civil servant. He really does, this guy here.
Yeah.
And most of them do. So this guy here, he looks sort of very interested in the role. I can see him being selected to take part. He looks very interested. So
Mm.
yeah, it's very interesting. It's definitely worth watching, I think. So let's leave it
Yeah,
there then. Let's
yeah,
call it a
yeah,
day.
yeah.
So let's
That's
finish on the photo, as we normally do. This is the book I might be interested in reading. Can't find the story. There's the photo. That's where we stop, isn't it? Okay. Right. So let's hit the stop button.